As Kinwald accelerated to put an inside move on Masami, he ends up leading the final and winning 2 of the A finals, giving Trinity, Losi, and Novak a world championship.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today, back to painting. We're going to throw a iconic paint job on this Losi NASCAR body. And when you think about iconic names that go along with the Losi logo, you think of people like Adam Drake, Matt Francis, had the Francis Edition Losi truck. And probably one of the most popular ones would be Brian Kinwald. So we're going to do the Dirtinator with the Intimidator. We're going to do a Kinwald style paint scheme. Relatively simple. I did jump ahead of you. I cut out some Team Losi logos. Just found these on the internet and downloaded them and cut them on the Cricut machine. And it's going to get a little tricky up front because his paint scheme is the drips and the kind of block design. The drips, we got to be really careful cutting around and over our Team Losi Racing logo on the hood. So we'll have to tread lightly with the X-Acto knife there. But like I said, I did jump ahead of you. I did draw everything out with my China pen. Drips generally don't have to, they're like flames. They don't have to generally match exactly on both sides. I found me a center point right here. Just a rough, no, wasn't even measuring. I just kind of eyeballed a center point. And we started our first drip right there and worked our way over and then mirrored it on the other side. I didn't exact mirror the image, but close enough because drips are kind of dynamic. They're just kind of going their own way anyways. Anyway, that's enough chit-chatting about what we're going to do. Let's get to doing it. This is the same tape I've been using, the FBS gold mask. As you can see, it's really transparent. And I'm not super concerned because it's not super tacky. I'm not super concerned with it pulling out some of this logo. The letters on this Team Losi, it's the old school Losi logo. It's kind of chunky. It's got big fat letters. Only thing that's skinny is the racing part right there. And I think we can carefully work around that. Trying to keep the overlap to a minimum, because anywhere it's overlapped, you're double thickness of the tape, and makes it that much harder to see through and that much harder to cut. And anywhere in here that we end up with a gap, we'll fill it in with the 1/2-inch tape. As you can see, we got very minimal overlap between the tapes. Anywhere we got to cut it, it's barely, just maybe a few millimeters. This I'll fill with the 1/2-inch tape. And we'll put a piece of 1/2-inch on the rocker panel down here. And then we'll fill in the rest with all this. Doesn't matter. It just needs to be covered. So good thing is these drips don't have an outline around them. They're just a blue and white fade. So that's a minimal cutting. We just got to cut one time, one lap around, and we're done. I tried my best to do a continuous cut. The starting and stopping, it's hard to keep a flow going, to stop right in the middle of a curve and then start again, but it can be done, and it can be manipulated after the fact. You can go in and clean it up, because I'm sure not all these drips are going to be perfect, because sometimes the blade you'll slip a little bit and it'll go straight when you're trying to do the smooth curves, especially over some of these body lines. And basically like driving over a speed bump with your razor blade. It'll get to the other side of the hump and it'll just shoot straight. It's tricky right here in this fender well, because it's we got about a 90-degree corner here. We went a little straight right there, so I'm starting over. I was able to see where I had left off. All right, there's one. That's one pass, and we're going to carefully pull this out and hope that we did it right. But I know the last 2 pieces of tape I added was this piece and this little filler piece, so kind of reverse engineer your masking. Actually, these bottom rocker pieces were the last two pieces to go on. Then the doors. So far, so good. This is where it gets tricky. We don't want to pull our logo up. The tape, or the masking itself, is permanent vinyl, so it should stick better than this masking tape does, in theory. And so far, it has. We'll start back over here again, since this was the last piece we put on. This is the glamorous side of painting RC bodies right here. This is the legwork that makes the Unveil so much more special, or meaningful, or however you want to put it. Worthwhile. Some of these drips ended up behind the letters, but I just kind of went with it just to keep the flow going. Some of the round tips you may not even ever see because they'll be under the logo. Alright. I see a couple edges that aren't perfectly round. We can round them up a little bit, but there's our drips. I'll clean this black marker off and we'll be able to see our edges. And I'll do it once we get these laid out. And we'll be able to see our any edges that need to be a little touched up a little bit, a little rounded off. And some of them are so minimal, you can kind of just round it off with your nail. You can just kind of smooth the edge up. All right, I went ahead and wiped all of our marker off. I got a kind of a ghost line of where it was. That'll be good enough to line this up. Most of our drips did pretty good. There's a couple of them I had to round off just a hair, but they are good enough for handmade. But this graphic here is super easy. We're just going to start on the door. It's basically straight lines. Again, FBS masking tape, not sponsored by them, but I would definitely accept the sponsorship. So I use a lot of it. Trying to get about the same angle as the 3 is, but I don't want to overlap our drip too much or at all. And you're still trying to get a straight line over body lines and features in the body itself. Pretty simple there. We'll do the same thing on this side. We're basically cutting the corner of this window off. Kind of my judgment point there. They don't have to be exact from side to side, but we want it pretty close. All right, there's that one. Now this stripe here is going to be split here, and it's going to be split here. It's going to be 3 stripes on the hood, 2 on the door. So we're going to go ahead and box it out just by pulling a straight line. Top of this fender here, trying to make sure we can somewhat mimic this on both sides, because it's going to matter, because you'll look down on the hood. I'm kind of ambidextrous, left and right-handed, and sometimes that comes in handy, but I do find it easier to pull towards me than it is to push, or, you know, I still kind of favor right-handed, but there's our X that we did on our last videos where we did our points. But right there where it crossed over don't really matter, but then we can just butt up against this one right here. Pull this one off first since it's on top. All right, there's our first boxed in stripe. Now what we'll do, we'll come back and put 2 more pieces here and here and make this 2 stripes. That's pretty much the gist of it. I'm going to buzz through it and try to get this masked up right quick, and then we'll come right back. All right, we got this side laid out. What I did to get the gap right here and get it halfway straight was to use 1/4 inch. This is also the gold tape. And I kind of centered it with the 3, just kind of eyeballing the center of the 3. And try not to go uphill. It's not a lot of measuring here. There's a lot of eagle eye measuring here. All right, there's our gap. We're going right pretty much to the center of the 3, pretty much. And then all we got to do is simply lay the 1/8 inch on top of that, like right on the edge of it. And that'll be our template. And we'll pull that 1/4 inch out. I got enough here to do the whole thing, so I'll just break it off right there. Take some of the guesswork out. And you got that. You got all your intersection points. Well, obviously, we'll cut these first because they're on top. And then all we got to do is boop, boop. And there's our 2 stripes. All right, there's our door stripes. We're going to lay a 1/4 inch against this piece right here on both sides. And then work our way over and determine where we want our center stripe to be. I want to be somewhere in this feature line of this hood. We're going to use the body lines for measurement. And then once we get that done, we're going to cover this with the 3M painter's tape. 3M, don't get the cheap stuff. And yes, it's painter's tape. It works on bodies. But I generally just use this for filler and to help differentiate between the colors. Because we're going to have this blue and white graphic here, then the yellow stripes. But if I put this gold tape over top of it, I'm liable to lose my stripe. And just for a visual aid, just to put a different color on there. And it's not going to be butted up against anything. It's going to be just filling in these gaps that are going to be yellow. So you'll see once it's all laid out. All right, we got all of our fine line laid out. And I'm going to simply lay the blue tape over it. It is low tack. It should peel off of this drip without peeling the drip out. But we'll still be very careful when we pull the blue out because this will be sprayed before the drips. So we'll be really careful pulling it out and paying attention. That makes it even easier being 2 different colors. If you had the yellow on top of yellow, you could just easily rip one of these drips off and have to recut it. Or not catch it and ruin your paint job. So simply now, we're going to cover it up just like we did before, but we're going to use the blue tape. And we're just going to trace around the blue fine line. And we're going to stick tape to it. Now, excuse the mess. We are still working through trying to get the new spot ready while painting bodies, while getting ready for the big race, and while working and having a family life. So things are happening, but they're happening a little slow, but they are moving forward. I really didn't have time to paint a body this week, but I figured this one wasn't super complicated, and I think it's a pretty cool idea. So we're going to roll with it. One of the race trucks, I basically have to rebuild shocks because we're going to change the shocks. And I need to put a limiter in the rear of one of them because it's got too much droop. And need to set up the speed controller because everything in it's brand new and it's never even been turned on. And we're racing it in about 10 days. And my wiring should be here hopefully before to the end of the week. So Sunday's video might just be race prep. But simple enough. We're going to cut around the tape. We're going to use that as our marking so we can kind of see through that. And we'll pull that out and then we'll start spraying the body. All right, we got everything masked up, ready to spray. It kind of gives me the old Piedmont Airlines vibe with these scallop stripes. But first things first is black, and there's no fancy shadowing on this body, just a little bit of a blend of blue and white on the drips. So it ought to be a pretty straightforward, easy paint job. So let's get to spraying some black. All right, the black of choice again today is Createx Wicked Black. No particular reason. I did scuff this body a little bit with a very, very lightly with a red Scotch-Brite pad. For some reason, I felt the need to, so I did. Some of our vinyl's not sticking really good. I'm not too super concerned with it because there's a lot of curves in this body, and this vinyl is not super flexible. Those will be easy corrected with our little wooden stick that we use in about every video. And we will address that as it happens. So first things first, super light coats, and we'll work our way out. All right, there's one. Basically looks like window tint. We'll probably do 3 coats of black to get it covered. I already see a couple places we're going to have to push down a little bit better on our vinyl. Just kind of roll up on our edge of our 3 here. Easy enough fix. I'm not too super concerned with it. But yeah, let's get this dry. We'll put 2 more coats on, get it black, and then we will spray. We're going to kind of go back and forth again. This is going to be yellow. So we're going to spray this yellow spot. All right, guys, we're starting to pull out everything that's going to be yellow here. Probably going to see a pretty dramatic change from just one color to the next because there's going to be quite a bit of this is going to be yellow. And to get the true Kinwald vibe, I did trim around the windows. All of his cars had yellow around the windows, so we're not going scale NASCAR in that sense. And we're going to do our logo on the trunk here in yellow, and trying to get it pulled out, and then we'll be ready to spray. Trying to keep everything relatable or related to its next graphic there. So there's our trunk logo. It's got some holes in it for the body post, but that's okay. Yeah, we're still going to do the logos on the quarters in blue and white. I think blue and white's going to work on the hood. Even though we're going to have the blue and white drips, I think we might do black and white. We'll see. Yeah, there we go. Everything that's going to be yellow, we're going to get some fluorescent yellow. Again, takes probably 3-4 coats. Super light coats. Just Createx airbrush paint. Nothing special here. This is Hobby Lobby. And yeah, 3-4 coats. Back up with white. Then we'll back it with gray because we're going to spray a dark color over it. But we'll talk about that once we get there. That's a brand new bottle. All right, there's one. It's already getting the look. We'll dry this up. Like I said, probably 3 to 4 coats, but really light coats to get it built up. And make sure you get it dry between coats because you don't want to get jagged edges around any of your graphics, and you don't want to bury our logo on the hood too much. So let me get this dry, and then see what's next. The silver outline will be next after we spray the white. So let's get to it. All right, guys, we ended up with about 4 coats of neon yellow. We're going to back it with white, and while we're at it, we're going to spray the numbers white. I was back and forth on what color we were going to do the numbers. I thought they would look cool blue, outlining white, but we're going to do blue and white logos on the quarter and the hood. So I think we're going to follow the theme and do all the logos the same. At least that's the plan for now. But since we were spraying white, I went ahead and pulled the numbers. We're going to spray those, and once we get that sprayed, we're going to pull out this blue fine line here, and that's going to be the metallic or Createx Wicked Aluminum. And then once we get that sprayed, then we're going to start pulling these drips out. And drips will be blue and white, blue and white, blue and white, blue and white. We're combining steps again. I've already loaded my gun up, didn't even know. All right, we got one coat of white on there. It's probably going to take at least 2, maybe 3, really light. Once this is sprayed, we're going to pull this blue fine line out and spray it silver, and that silver will not affect the yellow that's backed with white. Once that's done, we'll back everything with gray just to protect the white from blue showing through. So the next color is going to be the blue around the drips, around the numbers, around the logos. So yeah, just keep following along. But air compressor. All right, we got all the fine line pulled out. Everything that's going to be silver. We're going to use Wicked Aluminum Medium. Yes, it's still pretty transparent in there, but the silver's not going to affect that. And once we get the silver on, we're going to back this with a light gray, and it should protect everything from the blue, because blue will be next. So we'll probably put 2 to 3 coats of silver. It doesn't cover real well because it's mostly just like a metallic. And I generally back it with black, but seeing how we don't want to spray black over this yellow, I'm going to spray the light gray over it, and that will make it covered enough to spray blue over. I did have to take my little cuticle stick and clean up some edges to sharpen that to a point. And a couple places on here where the tape overlapped, and then the roll in the quarter panel or the rocker panel here, the tape kind of rolled up a little bit and let some paint blow under, but it's simple enough to scrape it off. That's the beauty of using water-based paint. I'm going to spray over this entire graphic and the numbers with the silver. There we go. Still looks like the same, but it's sparkly on my end. I can see it. Probably, like I said, put 2 to 3 coats, and then we'll back that with gray. And then when we come back, we'll have everything else going to be blue, which is going to be the drips, our outline around our logo, outline around our numbers, and possibly the hood logo. I may have to change the colors on the hood logo so it don't bleed together with the drips. So we'll see how the drips turn out before we go committing to outlining these graphics in blue. Yeah, let me get this on there. We'll be right back and spray some blue. All right, we got everything pulled out. That's going to be blue. I'm not pulling the hood logo yet because if I were to spray that blue at the same time as our drips would end up being solid blue. We're trying to keep it real tight on the edges of the drips, just blue, and then the rest of it's white. We went ahead and pulled our numbers and our quarter logos. They're going to be blue. Not going to be a problem because we're far enough away. But to control the static and or some of the overspray, we are going to put a coat of 4050 UVLS clear over the clear area. And what that does is it helps control the overspray a little bit. It's kind of hard to explain, but in the body shop world, it's the equivalent of a wet bed. When you're blending on a real car, we lay a wet bed down to control the overspray of the metallics or whatever we're doing. But we're trying to keep the blue overspray from getting too crazy and basically making this drip solid blue. So enough explaining there. We're going to shoot a coat of clear on it and then go right back into it with the blue. And once we get the blue on, we'll go ahead and back that all with white and decide what we're going to do here. We might end up doing this black and white on the hood, just so it'll be different from the blue, so it'll stand out. The clear coat sprays just like any other paint. Just put a light coat on there. All right, we got one coat. See, it got kind of foggy. That will dry clear. And there's not much left in here, just a little drop. We're going to jump right into our blue, our big bottle of blue here. Since we're just doing a fade with this blue around the graphics, that little drop of clear is not going to affect it. If anything, it's going to make it more transparent, which would make it more controllable. Give it a little shaky shake. And now we're just going to try to hit just the tips of the drips. Tips of the drips. All right, there's our Kinwald paint job coming to life. I'm not going to put any more blue on the drips whatsoever. I'm going to get this dry. We'll put one more coat over the logos and the numbers, and then we'll come back and spray this white. And we'll go ahead and pull these out. These will be white. The numbers are already sprayed. We combined that step earlier. And we can go ahead and pull our Losi out of the hood, leaving the background. And judging by it now, I think black's going to work best because it's sitting in this yellow and it's going to be in the blue and white. So I think the black would pop best. And we'll probably... I'm kind of lost for what racing needs to be because it can't be silver because it'll get lost. It can't necessarily be black. I guess it could be, but we'll lose part of the R. White may... Oh, no, white's not going to work because we got too much white around it. So, yeah, I'm kind of lost on what we're going to do with racing. We might just do black and lose a little bit of it here, so not a big deal. But, yeah, there we go. We are one step closer to wrapping this thing up. And, like I say, let me get one more coat on these graphics, and then we'll go on to the hood logo. All right, guys, we got everything pulled out that's going to be white again. We'll go ahead and spray the rest of our drips, our logos, our lettering here, and I think, again, we're going to go black. I think it would pop more. And once we get that done, the only thing we got left is the racing, and we're ready for an unveil. All right, we went ahead and backed up the blue around the numbers with white again to make it pop. And there's our Kinwald drips. We're going to get this dry. I will back this up with the light gray so we can spray black over this and not affect the colors again. And then and we may just skip that step as far as filming goes, and then we'll pop back on when we're ready to unveil this thing. So it's real close. Createx, of course. Yeah. All right, guys, we got it all finished up. We're going to get this dry. We'll pull the window mask off and we'll do our unveil. But first, we'll go over what we did use. Water to clean the airbrush with. Createx Wicked Black. Createx Fluorescent Yellow. Createx Wicked Aluminum Medium. 4050 Gloss Clear. They recommend using the Gloss Clear for candies and or doing what we did, like the wet bed thing. They do make a matte clear, but for some reason, whatever reason, they recommend a gloss. Our big bottle of blue, which is just some Createx blue and white mixed together. So I used so much of it, I ended up making a big bottle. Opaque white. And our gray backing color. This is just black and white mixed together, nothing special. We just adjust the tint as we go. Anytime I got leftover white in my gun, I just dump it right in there and keep it, kind of keep it topped off. So anyways, that's all of our products we use besides the tape. We use the FBS tape throughout pretty much. 3M blue masking tape. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me get this dry and then we'll head into the studio and we'll do an unveil. All right, guys, we're all wrapped up with our Intimidator. I think it looks pretty cool. And as always, the most satisfying part of painting your RC body is peeling this film off and revealing all of your hard work. And this one here is really going to pop with this film removed. I can feel it. And kapowie! Check it out. Alright guys, we're going to throw a couple of the factory decals, the headlights and stuff. And while we're at it, we're going to throw a couple of our decals on there. If you want to pick you up a sheet, there's a link in the description. We got stickers, hoodies, t-shirts. All that's handled by Carpy's Print Company. They do a lot of cool RC stuff. They make wraps for these cars if you don't want to paint yours. And check them out. But anyways, let's get this thing wrapped up and we'll do a little walk around. Alright guys, it's a wrap for today's video. It's the first video of 2025. And we did the Kinwald NASCAR here. Tell me what you think about it. Leave me a comment. I think it turned out pretty cool. I haven't seen one of these done yet. So many guys have been doing the throwback old school NASCAR stuff, and I thought we'd do a throwback RC Legend, and I think it worked out really good. May do some more themes like this in the future, so stay tuned for that. A lot more paint videos, race videos, truck videos. There's going to be a lot going on this year. We got a lot planned, and if it all works out, we're going to have an awesome year again. Again, appreciate all y'all guys that hung around from last year, and appreciate all the new subscribers. That's very awesome. And if you haven't, please hit that button. I think we're still at like 70% are not subscribed that are watching the videos, so it's easy enough just to hit that button. It's free, and it really helps us out. And also, if you want to help us out, there are links in the description if you want to buy some stickers, t-shirts. All that's provided by Carpies. That is directly shipped from them, and they are made to order, so not a problem with stock. So whenever you need it, you just click and order it. So anyways, appreciate it. Until next time, Saturday, Sunday, we'll probably be wrenching on some cars. So no painting this weekend. But until next time, appreciate it, and thanks a lot.